living legend in the world of boxing, the greatest boxer of his generation. Many people draw the line and say he is the greatest boxer of all time, mentioned in the list.
Terence Crawford to the ring, and Crawford now makes his big entrance to this huge... He was kicked out of 5 schools for fighting. I wonder what that... All around the arena, people standing up to take their own videos.
As Canelo Alvarez in his 66th professional fight, that's more than any other ring-rated fighter in the sport.
I gave you guys instructions. I want to just remind you, please listen and follow my requests at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Fight hard, fight clean. Good luck to both of you.
Oh, nice uppercut from Crawford, his best punch. Overextended himself, and Crawford made him pay with 30 seconds to go here in the 11th.
It was a left uppercut, clean left uppercut. But step back, caught him coming in.
10 seconds left.
But Canelo now knows what the 41 of the wins for Canelo, 26.
That he doesn't have the power on his punches like he did early in the fight. So now he's stepping to him and he's making him pay every chance he gets.
Then you have an opportunity to do something.
Missing that overhead right, Canelo.
Uppercut by Canelo, beautifully executed, and jacking the jaw. Bernanga. Pops off the jab.
Nice jab there. But you know this, Joe, there's punches that you don't need to be while waiting. You're
nice double left hook and right hand for Bernanga. That was of a 23-year-old Canelo being taken to school by Floyd Mayweather. Well, Bernanga
will do it.
115, 113, and Steve Weisfeld has it. 115, 113. All 3 scores go to the winner by unanimous decision. From Omaha, Nebraska, USA, he is the new WBA Super Welterweight Champion of the World, Terence Crawford.
History is made.
An exclusive mega showdown between boxing legends saw Canelo Alvarez and Terence, but Crawford is sending shockwaves through the combat sports world. What once seemed like a fantasy matchup might soon explode into a multi-million-dollar pay-per-view reality. Despite days of breaking news, secret backroom negotiations, and non-stop speculation, the blockbuster fight, rumored for September 13th at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, is still not officially confirmed. If both superstars ink the deal, this high-profile bout could rival the legendary Mayweather vs. Pacquiao clash. But behind the hype lies a risky gamble. Insiders warn, this fight is fragile, unpredictable, and loaded with red flags. So what's really going on? Let's break it down and cover 5 serious concerns that fans and analysts are quietly debating. But first, do me a quick favor. Like this video and subscribe. 98% of you watch without subscribing, and it really helps keep this content going. Done? Awesome. Let's dive in. Before Canelo Alvarez can even dream of facing Terence Crawford in this once-in-a-generation matchup, he's got a serious challenge in May, a high-stakes fight against undefeated IBF super middleweight champion William Skull. Promoted as a tune-up fight for Canelo's traditional Cinco de Mayo spotlight, insiders know the truth. This is anything but routine. Skull might not be a household name, but in elite boxing circles, he's a dangerous, technical threat, no easy payday. The Cuban-German powerhouse is coming off a gritty win over Vladimir Siskin, grabbing the very IBF title Canelo vacated when he chose a more lucrative bout with celebrity boxer Edgar Berlingo. Now, Skull is not only active and validated, he's surging with momentum. And fighting an icon like Canelo elevates this into an elite, high-risk, high-reward event with massive financial and career implications. Here's the twist. Canelo needs that belt back. Reclaiming the IBF strap would restore his undisputed status and boost the stakes for the mega fight with Crawford. An undisputed title at 168 pounds would make the potential Crawford clash truly historic. But if there's one thing boxing never follows, it's the script. If the William Skull fight turns into a grueling war, if Canelo gets cut, injures a hand, or the judges deliver a controversial decision, the entire September Superlight could be thrown into chaos. Canelo isn't getting younger. At this stage in his career, every hard round takes a toll, one that recovery alone can't fix. And there's also the political reality. Skull is a mandatory challenger, and the sanctioning bodies aren't exactly known for their patience when champions take day tours for big money fights. If Canelo looks flat, gets hurt, or barely escapes with a win, the Crawford negotiations could stall, reshuffle, or collapse entirely. This isn't just a May fight. It's a trapdoor under the entire $150 million superlight plan. One wrong punch, one unlucky cut, and it all disappears in an instant. Now let's talk Terence "Bud" Crawford, the man with surgical precision, freakish switch-hitting ability, and cold-blooded mental dominance in the ring. But even for Bud, time is not on his side. Since 2020, Crawford has averaged just one fight per year, a glaring stat that reflects not just boxing's fractured politics but the realities of his own career choices. Yes, the wins have been dominant, especially that masterclass against Errol Spence Jr., but the gaps between fights? They're getting louder. At 37 years old, Bud is older than Canelo, less active, and now stepping into uncharted physical territory. After fighting most recently at 154, he's aiming to leap all the way up to 168. A division where the punches come slower but land like bricks. Fighters hit harder. They clinch stronger. They absorb punishment differently. This isn't just a jump across two weight classes. It's a challenge to biology itself. Very few fighters succeed when skipping an entire division, especially in their late 30s, when reflexes start to dull and recovery slows down. Even with a full training camp, this isn't just about putting on muscle. It's about re-engineering an entire body that once relied on speed, timing, and fluid balance. At 168, punches don't come faster. They come later but hit like sledgehammers. The real question is, will Bud still be the brilliant counterpunching assassin at 168? Or will physics finally catch up to greatness? Will the extra weight dull Crawford's reactions? Just enough for Canelo to land? It's not just a physical gamble. It's a mental one. Boxers live and die by rhythm. Time away from the ring doesn't just erode conditioning. It disrupts timing, timing disrupts awareness, and suddenly the instincts that made you elite start to fade. Crawford's fighting IQ is off the charts. His instincts are razor sharp, but instincts only stay sharp when they're tested regularly. Walking into the biggest fight of your life after a long layoff? That's a psychological minefield. No warm-up fight at super middleweight. No test run. Just a straight dive into the deep end, against one of the most dangerous names in boxing history. Crawford has built a legacy shutting down doubters, beating champions, and sidestepping boxing politics. But this leap? It's not just historic. It's physically unprecedented in the modern era. This time, the question isn't is Bud still great? It's can greatness survive the wait? Let's strip away the promotion, the hype, and the viral posts, and ask the uncomfortable question. Why now? For years, Canelo Alvarez downplayed the idea of fighting Terence Crawford. He said what many were thinking. The size difference was real. He's got nothing to lose. I've got everything to lose, Canelo told reporters in 2023, shutting the door on the fight with one sentence. So, what changed? 2 words: Turk Alalshik. The Saudi advisor, mastermind of Riyadh's season, and the man redefining combat sports economics with blank check matchmaking. Sources say Canelo was offered a reported $150 million for this one night. More than what he made across multiple title defenses, all rolled into one payday. Even for a fighter who's already earned generational wealth, that kind of money changes everything. But here's the twist. This isn't just about cash. Canelo is playing a much bigger game. Behind the scenes, he's quietly transforming himself from just a pay-per-view king into a power player, a true mogul. He's already building his own promotional empire, managing names like Tofino Lopez and even former rival Jamie Munguia. Canelo's not just chasing belts anymore. He's chasing legacy. He's chasing control. A win over Crawford wouldn't just silence the critics. It wouldn't just be another title. It would be a statement. I run this sport, in and outside the ring. The Crawford fight doesn't just dominate headlines. it swallows the rest of Canelo's 2025. And at 168 pounds, things were already a mess before Crawford entered the picture. David Benavidez, the division's bogeyman, has been hunting Canelo for years, with fans and critics calling for that matchup louder with every passing fight. Then you've got rising contenders like Diego Pacheco and Christian Billy, both knocking hard on the door. Add in mandatory obligations like William Skull, already scheduled for May, and the division looks like gridlock. Now throw in the wild card at 175 pounds. If Dmitry Bykul defeats Art Beterbiev in their upcoming February rematch, a historic undisputed title fight at light heavyweight between Bykul and Canelo could be next. But only, and this is key, if Canelo gets past Crawford unscathed. That's where the entire house of cards starts to wobble. If anything delays or derails Canelo versus Crawford, an injury, a contract dispute, or just the chaos that always follows boxing, two divisions and half a dozen contenders are suddenly stuck, waiting for months, maybe a full year, while the whole landscape resets. It's the classic boxing paradox. To create one legendary moment, you might have to freeze the rest of the sport. Here's where business and boxing collide hard. According to multiple insiders, when talk of Canelo versus Crawford first surfaced behind closed doors, Team Alvarez floated a $150 million price tag. Not as a serious ask, but as a deterrent. It was never supposed to happen. It was a financial firewall. A polite way of saying, this fight isn't happening. After all, asking for that kind of money, more than he made against Golovkin, Plant, or even Bykul, seemed like a bluff. A strategic escape hatch, signaling Canelo wasn't about to risk his brand against a smaller, faster opponent who could make him look bad, even in victory. But then came Turkic Alalshik, the architect of Saudi Arabia's combat sports revolution. Armed with sovereign wealth and a limitless appetite for spectacle, didn't blink. He didn't counter. He didn't negotiate. He just matched the number. Instantly, in a flash, a fantasy became a real fight. A bluff turned into history in motion. A bout that wasn't supposed to happen was now inevitable, backed by oil money and legacy-level stakes. So what is this? Really? Is it legacy manipulation disguised as matchmaking, a genius way for Canelo to take a high-risk fight only once it became risk-proof? Or is it chess at the highest level, where the sport's biggest payday now dictates the entire board? Either way, one thing's clear: Canelo is about more than belts. He's about power. And Terence Crawford? He's not just fighting up in weight, he's fighting up a mountain. This isn't just boxing. This is empire versus insurgency. Strategy versus science. Risk versus reward. And on September 13th, if everything holds, the fight the world never thought possible will decide it all. The truth is, the Canelo versus Crawford fight doesn't just define 2025, it swallows it whole. At 168 pounds, the division was already clogged before Bud Crawford ever entered the conversation. David Benavidez, arguably the most avoided man in the weight class, has been campaigning for a shot at Canelo for years. Rising killers like Diego Pacheco and Christian Billy are knocking harder every fight. Mandatory challengers like William Skull, who's already booked for May, are stacked behind them. And that's just one division. If Dmitry Bykul beats Art Beterbiev in their light heavyweight rematch, the path opens for a historic undisputed clash at 175 between Bolo and Canelo, but only if Canelo survives Crawford. Clean. That's the powder keg. If anything delays or derails Canelo Crawford, a cut, a contract snag, a scorecard controversy, two full divisions are frozen. Top contenders are forced to wait months, maybe a year, while the superlight machine resets itself. It's boxing's eternal paradox. To make one legendary moment, you have to stall the rest of the sport. And here's where business meets strategy in the darkest way. Insiders say that when Canelo versus Crawford was first whispered behind closed doors, Team Alvarez floated a $150 million price tag, not to negotiate, but to kill the idea. A financial firewall. A polite way of saying, this fight isn't happening. Why? Because facing a smaller, faster fighter like Crawford, one who could make Canelo look bad even in a win, just didn't make sense. Not financially, not legacy-wise, not politically, It was the perfect bluff. Until it wasn't. Then came Turkic Alalshik, the Saudi power broker behind boxing's oil-backed revolution. Armed with limitless capital and a vision to reshape combat sports, Alalshik didn't counter. He just said yes. Instantly, the bluff got called, the price got paid, and suddenly, the impossible was real. A fight that was never supposed to happen was now not just happening. It was being engineered as boxing's biggest event since Mayweather-Pacquiao. So what's really going on? Is this legacy manipulation disguised as matchmaking? Canelo's clever play to take a damned-if-you-do fight only once it became financially bulletproof? Or is it genius-level chess, using boxing's biggest payday to control the rules, the risk, and the entire map? No matter how you frame it, one thing's clear. Canelo is no longer just playing the game. He's starting to own the board. Canelo versus Crawford isn't just a super light. It's boxing's new business model in motion. This is what getting paid like its peak Mayweather season looks like. Saudi money didn't just fund a fight. It rewrote the rules of matchmaking. But with anticipation comes anxiety, especially from those who know what it's like inside the ring. Take Timothy Bradley, former two-division champ turned analyst. His warning was blunt: Crawford's not going to back down, and that's what scares me. Bradley knows what Bud's made of: surgical skill and violent pride. But Canelo? Canelo's been living at super middleweight. He throws bricks disguised as body shots. He's mastered the art of cutting off the ring. And if Crawford tries to stand and trade, even for a second, it could be lights out early. One miscalculation, one moment of ego, and the fight could be over before Bud finds his rhythm. So, can Crawford stay disciplined? Or does he get drawn into out with the bull? When legends can't agree, you know the fight's real. Mike Tyson, Canelo's too strong. Size matters. Shakur Stevenson, Bud is too smart. He figures him out late. Teddy Atlas, it might look like Brook versus Golovkin. Andre Ward, Crawford's ring IQ gives Canelo nightmares. Roy Jones Jr., Canelo's pressure eventually breaks him. You don't see this kind of split across eras and weight classes unless the fight is special. But here's the hard truth. We're still 7 months out. And boxing history says don't celebrate too soon. A bad cut in training. A contract snag. A sudden change of heart. Remember Wilder versus Joshua? That one collapsed for far less. If Canelo gets injured in May, if Bud suffers a setback, if the ink doesn't dry, this entire event could evaporate. But if it holds, if they both walk that aisle on September 13th, if the machine keeps humming, then what we're getting is not just the biggest boxing event of 2025. It's the biggest real fight since Mayweather versus Pacquiao. No exhibitions, no YouTubers, no gimmicks, just two all-time greats from two divisions, meeting at the edge of their physical and mental limits. Greatness chasing greatness. And it doesn't come around often. So now it's your turn. Who wins this fight? Is Canelo ducking Benavidez? Or playing high-stakes chess? Does Crawford's body betray him at 168? Or does he pull off the impossible? Drop your predictions below. Circle September 13th. Because if this one lands, history isn't just being made, it's being rewritten. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like the video, subscribe to Boxing Edge, and turn on notifications so you never miss a second of the action. This is boxing at its most dangerous, dramatic, and unpredictable. And we're just getting started.